All right. Welcome to the stream. I see that YouTube placed my logo in my face, so I guess I'll move a little bit. Yeah, I'll sit over there. Be good. Okay. There's a window management. I thought was a good place to start. All right. So, maybe I should start explaining what I'm going to be doing today, a little bit at least. Let me know if there's anything up with audio or video. We're not doing 4K today, which should mean that we also don't have a 30-second delay before I can see or before I can answer a question. So we're probably around 10 or so seconds. I need to sleep. Welcome aboard. So I think the stream maxes out at 1080p today, which should be fine enough. Let me know if there's anything that's unreadable. Then I'll try to crank it. Yeah, so what we're going to be dealing with today is this device. So this is my light switch, and now I accidentally flipped it, so that's good. If you look at my face zone here, you can see that I can actually control the two lights I have from my camera setup individually. And now they're both on, but I can also crank this one down or up. So 10 steps or so. And the same for the second light, or I can control them in unison by just tweaking up and down the brightness. So that's all the functionality I really need on this one. So this is the most important button, just turning it all off and turning it all on. So even if I've locked my computer, I don't have to do anything in particular. I can just hit that button and turn the lights off before I go. That's the most use I get out of it, but also I turn the lights on when it's time for a video meeting or whatever, to have the good quality video experience. So this is done with Nerves, it's done with Elixir, and it's working quite well. Some things are not done. So this thing can have lights. You can see a small purple light there. I think that's just a sort of default that's starting up, or if I set it somewhere, I don't remember. But yeah, there's definitely some things I still want to do. So I want this to indicate the current status of the light. So ideally, it would be, if this light is off, this row would be off, and if this was on, it would be lit up. And when it's on, maybe this could be a little bit faded and this could be a little bit brighter to indicate that I can raise and lower the brightness. Same with this. So these would indicate individual lights, and this would indicate the entire group of lights. So that's one thing I want to do. But there's also a thing where can be Right now they're snappy, but there can be a slight delay turning on and off the lights. And part of this is probably because I'm making an extra call before switching the lights where I check, are they on or off? So, we have this GenServer. I promised this thing was about wrangling a GenServer and making it better, and that's what this is. The light switch module, which does most of the work here, is a GenServer or an actor. Actor. Sets up a bunch of constants. Sets up a bunch of that stuff, and then there's a start link, which is this public API for setting up a GenServer in Elixir and in Erlang, I imagine. Then there's this init, which sets up the SPI dev and the GPIO thing. So that's for talking to the lights and the keys on this one. SPI for the lights and GPIO for the keys. It sets up some colors, essentially telling it just no colors today, please. And then, so it sets the base of the colors to nothing. And let's see, devices. Yeah, it does discovery on the devices. The key light library is a library I made to control these key lights. And it just saves all of this to state. It reminds itself, oh, hey, do discovery in 10 seconds or so. And then it says, oh, every 30 seconds, just do discovery. That's good to do. That's old code that I can remove. It's debatable whether this is necessary. I think it's mostly me being a little bit paranoid. Then it handles a number of different messages. So when it gets a discovery message, like every 30 seconds, it will do key light discovery and store the devices it finds. So one reason to do this regularly is in case these lights fall off of the network or one of them breaks or anything, it will just discover what's actually there, not just assume that they will remain there forever. Or if they switch IP addresses, which could certainly happen. Shouldn't happen, but it could. Then it handles circuits GPIO for particular pin numbers. So this is the messages it gets when a key is pressed or depressed. So we'll look for those keys, and then we assume we'll be getting some new colors, which is probably something I will change actually. And then it updates the color set based off of calling an action. And the actions module is a different module where I implement functions for the different keys. The reason it's a different module is that I don't have to restart the GenServer if I recompile that module, which is helpful. So I can just paste that module over and over if I like to. So we'll look at the actions module more definitely in a bit. Handle info fade. I don't think fade is in use. No, this never worked well. It was an experiment in color. So we can clean this up a fair bit. We can clean up shift as well. That's also experiments with color. Set lights. Now that one is not bad. So that's just cleaning up some of that stuff. Fade, yeah, fade time is not used anymore. We have both color off and no color, I believe. Hey, McBull. And if any of you are watching and haven't been here before, please, or if you have been here before, please say hi in the chat. I'd love to have some people to talk to while I'm doing this. So this is, there are a few things I would like to change with this right off the bat. And that's when we're dealing with these actions, currently we assume that this will produce a new set of colors. Now, I wanted to just produce an updated state because I want to do more things in those actions. So let's assume it's gonna produce a new state. Yeah, so any of these handle info things will get a message and have access to the current state that's in the GenServer and so in the actor. And we can update that state typically by saying there's no reply and this is the new state. So here we can see if value is 0, that means something was pressed, and if there's a function for that key defined for that key in actions, we will resolve that. So there's something else I want to add to the state, and that's the status of all the devices. So we can actually take a look at what the status is. So if I do keylight discover here, I get that. That's a list of my devices. No. Scroll up. And I can pipe that into keylight.status. And then I get this. These are OK tuples, which is a little bit odd, but it's the status result of all of the lights, which gives me what their brightness is and what their color temperature is, whether they are on or off, and how many lights are in them. I don't think they can have more than one currently, but I guess Elgato is making space for the future. It's probably wise to be killing it, apparently. So I want to gather that status state. So we'll see that when we go into the actions file or actions module later, but yeah, so this could be so we can do it like this to make sure it fetches that data on startup. And then we can have it do device equals keylight spelling. Keylight.discover here. So whenever it does discovery, which it does every 30 seconds, it can also pull the status. So why is it good to pull that status on a regular basis? Well, the status can get out of date, out of order, because there are other ways I can switch these lights. Power could go. I could use a Python script instead, which is what I do when I lock my computer. It will automatically turn off the lights, ideally, except when that doesn't work for some reason. And there's an app as well, I think, which I could use to control these lights. And if I do, this light switch would get out of phase with that. and I want it to be able to catch up. So now it would at least catch up every 30 seconds, which should be fine. So now there's a status being updated there as well. So let's check actions. So here you can see the key label or key functions. So K3, K6, and K9 are these. So the numbering is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it does toggle state.devices. And then it does, K6 does brightness, devices, negative increment, and this one does positive increment on state devices. This one does light 1. This is 257, 258, of course. So this does the same stuff to light 1, and these do the same to light 2. And we're gonna need to be changing a fair bit about this, because they will all need to start to return the entire state. We will need to pass them the entire state. They want these to be able to do more things with the state. So we'll see what this all means in a moment. And ask questions if you have any. I'll certainly get to it, and we will be pushing firmware to this device or SSH shortly, I imagine. Okay, so this is actually a little bit tricksy. So what these do is take the state and then extract the second device, second light. I wonder how I want to do that, if I want to keep the state. Guess I don't have to do that necessarily in that way. So let's try to change that to let's allow us to do this. That would mean we don't necessarily need this one right now, but we can keep it because we can use it. So now this one can get options. Let's grab devices, filter devices, devices and options do. And so if case keyword get from options, actually we can use an accessor here, opts light. I was about to start writing some Elm there. I've been spending a little bit too much time in Elm land. So we can do light 1 devices, and if we get number 2, we can do light 2 devices. If we don't have either of those, we return devices. Or rather, if this is nil, we can return devices. Cool. Because now this one takes the entire state. And it needs to return a state. So something you see here is that it is calling keylight status before and calculating the current max brightness of all the devices in the set. And then it's applying that brightness change. That's a little bit inefficient because this keylight status call can take a number. I've seen it, I've felt it take up to a second or two. Like, it can be a little bit slow. And now we shouldn't have to do that because we should have we should already have the statuses in our state. So filter statuses, state, status, devices. So in this case, we were asking for all of them, which makes it a little bit easier. But in this case, then the discovery, we get those keyed, and we have them keyed the same in the status one. So we can do actually, let's see. This is a good moment for some Elixir docs. Elixir map module. Yeah, sure. So I think we have take, right? Which gives us a new map given the keys to map. So we should be able to take devices. Status map dot take and do map dot keys devices. So all remaining devices, we want those keys, and we want to take all of the statuses that are in there. And that should do the same as just fetching the status. So if we do state.status, type filter statuses over devices, then we're essentially doing the same thing. And something I want to do from this trigger, that's to trigger a new fetch of statuses when this is done. So I want to send, I believe it's processed. No, wait, it's just send. Self. Check status. Check status. So that should queue a status check after the brightness change. There's a potential that we might want to debounce that so we don't trigger too many of these messages and stuff, but it's not a big problem right now, so I'll hold off on that. Keep it somewhat simple. I'm making a lot of changes already. So this one does a very similar thing. It checks the status, checks if any of them are on. So if I bring this in, do is on question mark. Let me remove that. State. Oh. Well, that's probably necessary. Then return the state, currently unchanged. Send the check status, we have that. So now it shouldn't have to ask for status before triggering key press, which would be a good piece of progress. We also need to add the part where we do the status check. Otherwise, the GenServer will fall over because we got a message it didn't know about. So this is state of devices. I don't want to redo the discovery because that can be a little bit slow. Okay, so potentially this might even compile. We'll see. No. Broken something in actions. See, team state toggle. Wait. No. Oh, yeah, I'm not doing the ops. Yeah. Which means that was invalid. Thank you for that, compiler. Firmware gen script. Yeah. Dot / upload. Like .local is what I call it. So now we're pushing the firmware to this one, and that should trigger it to restart and potentially a new working version of it. It's coming back up. That's good. So let's do ring logger.attach, see if there are any errors. Ring logger.next, see if there were any errors. Seems fine. Turn out check status devices. It threw an error there, but switching on and off works fine. Don't know. Oh yeah, it reads, I guess it reads every key on startup. Well, you can see that it works. It's throwing mega errors. So that's one of those. It's restarting the GenServer fairly often because something's wrong, but module check status. Light switch 88. Oh, so I did something entirely wrong in light switch. What did it say? Function check status of devices is undefined. Line 88. So I guess the state gets screwed up. Yeah, because we had check status in our state, which seems weird. I'm guessing we did something wrong here. Oh, this is in the wrong order. That would be one problem. So something I can do now is that I can, let's see, do I have good text editor? Let's see how to get it. So I just want something that lets me copy paste easily, which, sorry, no, windows are shifting around a bit. It'll pass. Because this allows me to then just paste the new code for that module where I fixed it here. Instead of rebuilding the firmware, I can just do that. And now that works. And it seems a fair bit snappier than it was, which is good. That was pretty much what I wanted primarily to solve. We could also run a small test here where, oh, I should have run gedit separately. Background, that one. Okay. Let's see. How do I call those? Is the key light command. Key light brightness 10 on number 1. No, oh, here. I have not updated my or reinstalled that dependency since I did my last system update, and I think I lost a lot of pip stuff. See if this works. This is changing the data with Python, or it was trying to. Okay. The Python library doesn't seem to work for me anymore. That's interesting. Might be that I'm missing some dependency. I'm not too particular about it. All right, but that's a little bit annoying. I guess I could do... So what I was curious to show is just controlling the lights, like changing the lights and making sure that the status still catches up after 30 seconds, but it's not important to show. Hopefully it's doing its job. Now, we've made it faster. We're preloading the status whenever we do discovery, and we're triggering a new status fetch every time we're doing these, so it will still keep status very fresh when we're using it. So now I think we want to tackle actually controlling the lights. So currently, this, yeah, it just updates the state. So I guess we could do just a send self update lights, and then update lights. Let's see, light colors. Blah, blah, blah. Light colors. Yeah. Maybe even rather than do that, we could do set lights state data colors, and anything that's not that color it will fill with off, which works for me. So this should mean that if I set colors actually I could so actually I think what I'd like to do is have the status check, because this is done after we're updating every time. So if we do data colors, I want to do state equals color state colors from status. This is a bit of a fanciness, but yeah, state color from status. So this should produce colors. It should produce some particular colors. Actually, no, this is much easier to update it when we're in the actions thing. I guess we can do that at that point. Thinking out loud here. hope that's worth hearing. Hey, Romario. This hat is called the keybow. Let's see, the keybow Raspberry Pi. It was used experimentally by the folks doing the Nerves keyboard project. So it's one of these. Hey, Andres. Yeah, so there's clicky and linear. I think I have clicky. Seems a bit clicky. Yeah, it's super nice to work with. Had essentially no issues with it. I'll give a special shout out to Alex McLean because he's the guy who sent it to me. That was part of their work on Nerve's keyboard, and because I was curious, they were out of stock at the time. He sent one to me, which I played with ever since. I actually have something in the works along with him, which I think will be a good piece of publishing. Yeah, no problem. Always curious to get hardware in the hands of other people who can suffer as I have suffered. So instead of doing all of this, well, let's see. So let's say that we have, so this is going to be as loosely coupling as I can. So colors equal colors, let's see, apply actions. Status to colors status. So the apply here, I think I'm not just being superstitious, but actually this means that it's coupled at runtime, which means it won't be referencing an older version of the module. So that lets me get away with the copy and paste thing, where I just replace the module with copy paste and don't have to restart the GenServer. And that's super convenient, so I'm going to keep doing that. Okay, so let's define colors, status to colors. So if we get a status, we want to produce colors. And that means we can get we need to get the information we're getting here. So let's do get brightness. Because now I need to use this without changing anything, and that means I need to break this out. This is a little bit ugly matching on status. Let's do that then. Now we can do get brightness. And similarly for toggle, we will need to be able to get that status. So the get is on. Oh, yeah, get is on. Probably the thing here. Get it on. That's what I should call it. But I'm a proper person and I don't do that. Because now I should be able to, let's call this statuses, so it can be clear that it's both. We need to be able to filter statuses by devices. Or that's typically how we do it. Well, yes. So we need, this ends up being staged colors, doesn't it? And the states that we care about is status, and devices. So let's go back to the light switch. Let's do more silliness. I really like the fact that I can rebind the same variable in Elixir. Not necessarily sort of the most explicit thing. Yeah, actions was what I want. But I also really don't like new model 2 or whatever you end up doing in certain languages that don't allow you to do that. Trade-offs. Yep. And as always, let me know if you have questions. So, we want to produce a map that contains our different colors for the different keys. So say K003, that should represent our both lights on. So that's devices, all of them. Filter through filter status. I think it's called filter status. Filter statuses. Oh yeah, sorry, that takes status, filter statuses using the devices, all of them. And get is on to color. This is a nice pipeline. I don't think the formatter will agree with me that this is a nice pipeline, but I think it looks nice. So when is Boolean? I guess is that the guard is Boolean? Yeah. Wasn't sure if it was is bool or is Boolean. So the colors. There are, let's just take a look at how they are defined or used rather. So this will grab a color and it will convert that color to RGB from whatever format it's in, which allows me to do things like use this, which is easy enough. So I could say, oh, that's an FF, full brightness white for if. So if it's on, otherwise it's a 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. And this should let me handle this one, and this one. So K3, K2, and K1. So for K2, filter statuses would take lights 1, right? I think so. No, lights 2, probably. Let's check. K02, that's light 1. Oh, light 1. It's an important distinction. K2, light 1. Light 1. So these would be representing the toggles. And then we have the ones representing the brightnesses. So let's make one of those. So that will be K6. Brightness. And that should come out as an integer. So let's guard for integers. And that should be in the range 1 to 100. Yeah, you prefer not to use variables, Andreas. I know, and that's why you write Haskell and no one can read it. Actually, you should be showing me some Haskell one day. It might actually help me with my Elm. So the Chameleon library, let's see. So I'm doing convert, which Chameleon convert takes from the input color string to the requested output color model. So I could do just an RGB because I think that's what's most convenient for me right now. Actually, hue saturation and lightness. No, I think RGB is fine. So just smacking it with I'm guessing it matches out on 255. So chameleon.rgb.new. So then I want an intensity, which would be the range is 255 divided by 100 times whatever value I'm getting. This level of math is what you need to be a programmer sometimes, but you can also look it up. That's math very important to programmers, or so I've heard. So those are colors. That should be giving a different sort of intensity depending on. So that's the lower brightness button. And I want that to actually be one intensity lower. Yeah, I'll go with lower. So if brightness let's see, case brightness let's see, minus increment, I think, is in here, and value when b is more than 100, it's 100. And b when b is less than 100 or less than 0, it's 0. Don't know if there's good things for clamping values. This should do the trick at least. The clamping should be the same. So this should allow me to do 9 with higher and do 2 other lowers. So that's 7 and 8, which then light 1, light 2. I'm writing a lot of code without making sure it works. That's always exciting. Oh, that's where the fun in life comes in. So that would be 10, that would be 11. Higher, 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 lower, lower, lower. So these should produce colors. That's the idea. So first step, let's just check if we seem to have done what we thought we wanted to. We're saying, yeah, this is the map we want to produce. We're pulling that data from a bunch of different things, but from the state we have. And it's all going to be mapped keys to color, keys and lights to color values, which is exactly what we want. So I'm hopeful that this might actually work. I'm betting on a compilation error, and then I'm betting I made some mistake that will show up at runtime. Okay, 151, unexpected something or other. Oh, that's a slash in the wrong direction. That could have tripped me up for a bit. Thank you, compiler. Very nice of you. Also, there's no particular reason I need to do this. I could do these. But that's just set dressing, so it doesn't really matter. It's the same thing. That's not what it complained about. It complained about me not adding commas which is fair. They need to exist. For so Jose has decreed. I assume he decided the commas. I'm not sure he thought long and hard about it. It's a lot of commas typically in languages, so it's a sensible choice. I haven't heard a lot of controversy about the comma. 131, undefined function. Filter status is 3. No? Oh yeah, devices. So, yeah, I filter devices with options. That makes more sense. Filter devices, state devices, opts. Yeah, so I need to rewrite a few of these. Why do I start with piping status into things? So, all, that's all the devices. 1, filter devices, right? 1. 2, filter devices. Right. 2. So this changes everything. No, that's pretty good. Status, filter status is all. One, 2, all. 1, 2, all. 1, 2. That looks more better. Pretty happy with how easy that was to rework though. Undefined function brightness 1. Oh, get brightness, I guess. Do brightness is the one that toggle or that changes the brightness. So that makes sense. So we've been going for a fair bit now. I hope this works. I mean, we've solved the real problem, but the fun problem is to make this actually light up properly. That would be much neater. Okay, so that worked. Now it compiled. I just want to check a few things before I push it. This pulls the status at this point. So we could do this. And state equals just have it be an empty map at that point. Remove those. Now, whenever it's checking the status after pressing a button, it should update all the colors. That's the idea. Let's make a key value pairs in the map. Got colors. Oh, like that. So built. And I'm pinging it just so I can see when it comes back up again. It's always helpful. Definitely feeling the need for the weekend now. Oh, starting to become a little bit ready for maybe a little bit of winter leave. I have to figure out exactly when I'm taking off. Even though we're not going anywhere, but it's nice to have some time off. All right, that's good. Now, I don't see that this is lighting up. I can reduce the lighting on it. Still looks like it did earlier. Just put the light back on. It doesn't seem to be working, so I'm suspicious. Empty error. Empty error. So enum max doesn't like it when it gets some empties, I guess. Don't know, haven't run into that before. But I don't think the light switch is started right now. So I'll probably do this. I've sworn it had a single argument start link, doesn't it? Yeah. Do I use options for anything? Oh, just that. So I could do light. I can see if I can start it manually before I try to fix it. Seems like it's started. It might also crash at any point. No, it's working. It's not doing any lighting. Okay, something I'm not sure I ever did. I produce all this. I don't think I ever run set lights, right? That would prevent this from doing anything at all, so that makes sense. All right, let's see. Yeah, let's do it here. Set lights, so it's state light colors, okay. It helps to actually run the code that makes the change. Also, I should probably look at that empty thing. Hold on, that should be in actions and like max. So I guess statuses can definitely be empty. And if statuses strictly equal an empty map, do something else. So that would prevent that particular issue, and in that case we can return a 0, I don't care. So now we've updated light switch module, which is GenServer, and it's just easier to deploy a new one than to kill and restart the... Actually, it's probably not easier, but I'll do it anyway. It's pretty quick to kill a GenServer. I'll dim the lights on this just in case it works. So you can see the purple light that is always on, apparently. I guess if this succeeds, it should be pulling the status and then updating the lights. Now, then again, if we look at light switch, I don't think we're setting the lights at startup at all. No, we're not. Okay, but it's back up. Let's attach. Then explosions. So now it works. It started, didn't break due to the max thing. State colors. Anonymous function and light switch set lights. Argument error. Argument error to what? Line 108. So this expect light colors. Argument error is not the most helpful error you can run into. It has a lot of challenges when it comes to debugging. So here, it could be that this cannot convert RGB to RGB. So what we could do is case color do if this is a chameleon.rgb, what's the difference between chameleon color.rgb and chameleon.rgb? I don't get that at all. Well, so let's see, because we were using this, and that produces a chameleon.rgb. And if it is a chameleon.rgb, we don't have to convert it. So then we just return the color. And if it's another color, then we convert it. Yeah, Andreas, it's pretty quick. I think this might also still be on the slower version of the nerves. So they fixed a thing where shutting down gracefully on the Erlang VM took more time than than doing it brutally. Hey, I'm trying to turn on my lights, but it doesn't do anything. My light switch is broken. It's very dark in here. Okay, it's down. Coming back up soon, hopefully. But yeah, this approach to pushing firmware is very, very nice. Like working over SSH on a Raspbian device or something is not nearly so reliable, and it's very easy to screw up and sort of lose your work. But now I'm working in a local repo continuously, which is sort of more healthy. Okay, let's see. It does nothing. Normal error, argument error. Wait, 115 has an argument error? Because this should produce a chameleon color RGB. Okay, let's see if I've misunderstood chameleon to some extent. We have chameleon in here. So rgb.new 255, 254, 253. What do I get? I get one of those. And if I do chameleon.convert v, so that's my previous one, chameleon colored RGB, is that an argument error? No, that works fine. So I didn't need to change that at all. So what's the problem here? I guess I could just copy paste the code and reload the supervisor. I guess that will work. So edit. So I'll paste the new code for light switch. Okay, now it's compiled the module, but the light switch is still up and running. So process that never remember process that exit switch.supervisor brutal murder should be something. First argument, not a pid. That's true. Trying to kill it by name. Okay. Do process where is. No. I don't do this all that often. Elixir. Name stupid. Yeah, I can call by them, and I should be able to do. Or is the supervisor name not a process thing? Oh well. Guess I'll recompile. I can't be bothered to figure that out. Killing in the name of. Killing by name. Rough. I don't know. It's annoying that I still don't really know what that thing there. What that argument there is. What it's about. I've controlled these lights before with some success. Guess we'll hopefully find out something about it with this one. Appears an error. Start normal. Return the error. Failed to start child light switch. Light switch EX 112 anonymous function set lights. Reduce lists full. Love and inspect on why this wrong. Don't think it is. So now the GenServer is probably not running here because it broke. Pasting new code for it. I'll try to start it. Can have multiple started as well, I think, without issue really. So, oh, floats. Can see how that would cause an issue. Yes, that makes sense. Exer truncate float. Yeah, kernel trunk. So floats, man. Horrifying. I had that in mind at a certain moment, but I totally lost it. So trunk, to make sure we truncate this, then we can I can just copy that actions code, paste that. Define function brightness. That's not right. Okay, I mispasted, I think. So let's do start link. See if it works this time. Oh! Would you look at that? It's not entirely correct, I don't think. If we look at it, I think I have some off by something errors. It's also sort of delaying processing because when I start clicking the brightness switchy thing, it starts shifting, or it starts sending a few messages on every press. Okay. So this one seems convinced that it's on, I guess, which is not accurate. Now that. So I managed to clear the deck. I press that one to turn it on. Currently, I can't see if the lights are actually on because I have no brightness set. So let's crank the brightness of both. 2 steps, then start them. Now they're started. Something's not quite right. So that was reducing the brightness. This was raising the brightness. So these are supposed to be these. And if I raise the brightness on this one, that seems to raise the brightness on quite a few of them. This is super confusing. Neat. I wonder what I did to cause that. Not quite the level of usable I would want it at quite yet. Let's see. Oh, this one, for example, clear error. So 3, 2, 1 is what it should be. And then 6, 5, 4 seems more reasonable. And then 9, 8, 7. That actually makes sense that it was screwed up then. And I can just copy paste from actions to update this, and we should be able to get a new. So if I toggle this, bam. Now I can toggle that and it switches off. Toggle that, switches off. Lower brightness. Yeah, and this switches the average brightness. So if I pump the brightness of 1, turn that one off. Ha! Working as intended, and damn it, the device camera fell asleep. My poor phone is probably out of battery. No? Okay, not out of battery. Not entirely. I think it switched off due to lower battery though. Just when I was getting it working. That's a spoil sport. Okay, let's see if I can just revive it for a little bit. So you can see, so now it's in handheld mode here. I still have audio, right? Yeah, I still have audio. So I can switch it off entirely. Then this means that the brightness is at 0 and all of the lights are off. But if I just crank that and then I wake one of the lights up, wake another light up, I can turn that off. I can crank the brightness a bit. Okay, the camera went again. No, it's okay. Oh, thank you. So now it's actually representing the current state of things, which is what I wanted to do. So one step up on that. All right. This was essentially the important part of what I wanted to get done today. I'll turn the device camera off now because my phone is about dead. So, yeah. All right. I think that will do it for the stream. I'll make a commit. This project is public, so if you want to take a look, it's all out there, including my Wi-Fi details, because why not? I think they're in there. This looks like the work we did. All right. So, if you've tagged along for this long, thank you. It's been a pleasure having you on board. But also, if you are working with a company doing Elixir or looking for Elixir developers, I have a little something planned that I think will be helpful to people that are looking for Elixir developers. So if your company is a company which I'm not already working with, and you are keen to see if I can help you with finding and hiring Elixir developers, take a look at underdriver.io. I can link the latest post on the subject, because I think I can help, and I'm keen to see where we can take this. So that's the very, very new thing, and hope to see it bloom. And if you have interest in that, reach out. I can send more details. I'm being a little bit cagey about it at this early stage. So yeah. All right. Have a great weekend, everyone. See you soon.